Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. Today we're going to talk about starter kits. We're going to continue talking about starter kits until we finish doing um, what we left before in the previous video. So in this case, I'm already in the Caspian documentation and we're going to go down way to the in the last section in this case after backend, as you can see in this case, yes, now okay, there it is. So there you can get more information about the starter kit. So I'm going to click to the overview. So I'm going to start introducing starter kit in this case. So starter kits, it's all about your um, application or custom application behaviors. In this case, you add your personal branding, design, UI systems, things like that, and maybe some special cases. So you're going to upload it or deploy to GitHub in this case, and then you're going to clone it from GitHub or from the repo. No, so what I'm going to do, like as you can see, the starter kit is just all about GitHub and cloning things. So we can create about full stack application, real time recipe, basic application. No, so in this case, to initialize with starter kits, in when you are installing Caspian framework, this is the command. So you're going to say that remember pass the name. This is um, the project name, in this case your project name, and then you're going to tell to Caspian that you want to start with a starter kit. In this case you have this option, let's say full start, things like that. But the idea is that you can build your own starter kit too. So for custom templates, let's say you're going to have a dashboard, you have login and things like that, and then when you have any kind of project, you already have a starter kit. So you just start not start from scratch, but you're going to start from a template already. No? So in this case, you're going to do, like say, my project, the starter kits, and you're going to pass that is as custom. So it's very important that you mention that it is a custom. So then you're going to put the starter kit source in this case, and you're going to pass your GitHub repo in this case. So what Caspian framework is going to do is that it's going to clone your repo and download and put in the project directory. Then it's going to replace with the current, in this case with the current latest updated files. So in this case, what we're going to do is go to the dashboard starter kits, which it's the official, which are currently we are working on it. So this accelerate, let's say we're going to set up the authentication section, the Prisma ORM, in this case our database, and the admin UI we already working on. So the quick start is that you can copy this. In this case, you can copy this section and you can clone. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to copy this and clone in a test folder, test directory. So where I'm going to just test this. So I'm going to do is that okay, I'm going to open in my terminal, copy paste. As you can see, the create Caspian, it's the normal command. Then I have my starter kit, my dashboard. You can name anything you want. The important section is here, that remember you have to put the complete URL of your repo. So I'm going to press enter in this case. So as you can see, there is no interactivity when you are doing starter kits. The framework automatically it's going to start installing the starter kit without interactivity, because um, it's already known that you already have installation and place all configuration that it's needed. No, so in this case, as you can see, it start installing, and the benefit of this is that you aren't starting from scratch. You are starting where you already have your conventions. No? So this is the good part of this. So while it is installing, what you're going to do is, what I want to explain some new features in Caspian, which I'm going to introduce you. So in backend, now we have one menu section, which is API routes. In this case, as you can read the description, it's Caspian is built on top of Fast API. So when you are need a Fast API, you're going to choose that you want to go with backend only, and it's going to give you the possibility to have all Fast API features. No, but let's say you are working already in full stack mode, where you have Tailwind CSS, website, and things like that, but you want to serve certain part of your application as a API. So in that case, what you're going to do is that here, as you can see, the second one, hybrid routes. So you're going to do that. You're going to define a function. In this case, let's say you have the API users, and here is going to be the call. In this case, the good part is that the routing, your routing is going to maintain as is, and then you're going to define that this is going to be a page, and then you're going to return a JSON response. So this way, what Caspian is going to do is that it's going to prevent loading like Jinja, things like that, because remember, Jinja under the hood I'm using for convert HTML, passing props and HTMLs between components. So this way it's going to prevent, because it's going to know that what you are sending, it's not a HTML, or it's not a like say web page section. What you are doing is sending a JSON response. So it's already bypassed the Caspian HTML render. So it's going to bypass, and this way you can have your full stack, and even you can serve certain section as an API request and response. So let's see if we already have. All right, it's begin install completed. So here, as you can see, my dashboard. Now I'm going to come and let's open Visual Studio Code. And as you can see, I have, I'm going to run this project just for so npm run there. What about npm voila. Okay, now yeah, npm run there. Okay, it's running and open. And as you can see, the index page, in this case home page, nothing happens, nothing new there. But when I come and go to dashboard, I already have my dashboard. We built this in previous video, so we built this, but as you can see, I installed the starter kit and I already have a dashboard which I can work top of in the dashboard, and then put whatever I want. So the dashboard, as you can see, it's already here, and I don't have any hassle to start any kind of project, in this case in mind, because you already have a dashboard. You can start smoothly with anything. So let's say I have analysis and things like that. Okay, well, this was the way or introduction to how you can clone the Caspian official dashboard in this case. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take down. Now I'm going to close this because we're going to start building the real, in this case the Caspian dashboard. In this case, as you can see, this is the real project which we are building. And so today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to start building the sign in and the sign up section. We're going to build the UI and then we're going to start adding more features. So the good part is that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to Google and then I'm going to go to .cn in this case, because to, let's say, go to components. I think in blocks there is a, okay, we have a login, as you can see. Oops, it's not scrolling. Okay, we have a login here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to build this login as is, but I'm just going to copy, in this case, the code and start building. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy this code and, well, I'm going to come here and I'm going to say that I'm going to create a group row, which I'm going to call out in this case, and sign in this.html. So here I'm going to copy paste, and as you can see, this is a component for React. But how I'm building in this case in Caspian, I don't want a separate HTML, things like that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go direct to the login form, in this case login component, login form. I'm now going to copy the content of the login form, complete component, and this way I already have the HTML. So let's see if I have installed the card. The good part of Madex, remember we are using Madex in this case. Let's see if Madex applies. Madex. Okay, we have here. So we already using Madex components UI. So we're going to install the card in this case. The card, as you can see here in the card, is already have the same login section, so we can do this, but we already know. So what I'm going to do, copy this. I'm going to install in this case. So Madex card. So when I have installed, I'm going to start the server now, npm run dev, because we're going to start working. I'm going to get another terminal. Okay, there we go. So now okay, we're going to install the card, the header, got title here, description, card content. I think we don't have this. So let me see if in Madex we have what is name, field group. Okay, we have field. Yes, let's install. We have available fields. So we install fields. Now we have fields group. We have the fields label. No, we don't have input. So let me install input. Where it is? Oh my gosh, I don't see it. Okay, input, copy, paste, and now I have input available. I think button being star. Okay, so I think we are ready to go. So I'm going to open server now in browser. Close this. Okay, now let's go to the sign in, and voila. As you can see, easy as that, I already have my sign in login section. So what we're going to do is that we're going to, let's say I'm going to register a user in this case and then go to the dashboard. What we're going to do, like hard code it in this video, and then we're going to start, let's say, doing the Prisma ORM section. So currently this logged in, it's not doing anything. So what we're going to do is, let's say, when we press logged in, as you can see, it's refreshing the page, but it's not happening any loading activity. So what we're going to do is that now let me open, in this case, in sign in, what we need is index.py, which is going to handle the logic section. No, so what I want to do is that define page, because it's a page, and then we're going to return, in this case what I'm going to return is render a page and pass the Dundo file, and that's all what we need for now. So this error goes away and we already have our loading. But now what I want is to connect this logging button with the backend, in this case, to control when it's logged in, go to dashboard, and when it's not going to be go to the dashboard. It's going to need authenticate and validation. So first, what we need is that we need to capture the button logged in this case. So form, okay. So we're going to create our script tag here, and we're going to declare a function which is going to be async, and then in this function we're going to say, let's handle sign in. It's just that we get the event. Oof. Okay, I think yes, can't work. There is no problem, but okay, when it's just a few inputs which you're going to capture, in this case, I'm capturing just 2 input values. So there is no issue to put a get element by ID, things like that. But let's say you have more than one input. In this case, let's say you have more than 3, things like that. It's get messy when to doing this because it get element by ID, the value, things like that, and it's not quite good practice. So what we're going to do is that cons forms data, and we get the target, and in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to say data and get the entry of the objects, and I'm going to do is that logo with data. And now in my code I'm going to fill with fake information. So I'm logged in. As you can see, it's still refreshing the page. It's because we haven't registered the function. So we're going to pass the event in this case. So let's wait. Okay, I'm going to fill with fake filler, and now we have information. But as you can see, I don't get in any information, and inputs have values. The issue is that, remember, when you are doing things like when you're sending information and you are capturing in this way, you need the name. So name is going to be the email, and in the other one, where is, okay, yeah. So yes, now let's give a try. Log in, and now I have email and password in the log. So now, as you can see, I have information to send to the server. So what I'm going to do is capture that information now in Python and, well, start processing. So the good part of Caspian is that you can define RPC, and without any hassle, you're going to get the information direct to your Python file. So I'm going to declare RPC, in this case, import, and then what I'm going to do, and even you could limit, in this case, let's say I'm going to limit to 5 intents in 1 minute. So and then I'm going to define this function. I'm going to call it sign in and print the data. What? Print the data. Okay, so now in my terminal, I'm going to print the incoming data, no? Okay, so what I'm going to do is that in this case, easy as this, cons, I'm going to put response await pp rpc, and then the function is going to be sign. Let me see, the function name is sign in, and then send the data, and then okay. Now what we're going to do, fill, send information. Okay, say internal, let's see what's up. Okay. Okay, here, RPC, sign in, sign in. Yes, we call the function. It's a sign in, got unexpected keyword, email, and it got data. In this case, what we need is that if you want to capture, like say in a dictionary like this, you need to put that you're going to use dictionary. So easy as this, I already have, in this case, let's say okay, response null, because I'm not sending any response in this case. But as you can see, we have 200 okay, the payload was sent, and the response is null. But if we come to the terminal, in this case, as you can see, I already have the information, and now I can easily process this information. So you have, in this case, in your Python code, you have data, but if you want to be specific, in this case, let's say I want email and password this way. So what you want to do, let's say email and password this way, and Caspian have support for this too. So what we're going to do is that same idea, nothing changed. I'm just going to fill, loading. We have null here because we aren't setting, but as you can see, I getting the same information, but now I'm getting individual, in this case, email by itself and password by itself. Okay, so now just let's say now we already have the information in database, and now what we want is to send, because the credentials are correct. So we're going to send to the uh, to the dashboard, no? Because it's very important to know when you want to send, because you need to validate this information. So for that, what we're going to do is that we're going to prepare the section which we're going to use the database. So um, let me start preparing the information first in this case. So first, you need to manage this section, in this case, Caspian config.json. Here, you're going to see the information of the configuration of Caspian. So backend only, we have files, Tailwind, we have two because I'm using Tailwind CSS. MCP no, Prisma, and what we need is Prisma ORM. So we're going to choose Prisma. But what we're going to do in this case is that we're going to interactively update our configuration to start using database. So for that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say Caspian update my project. Easy as this. So I'm going to accept that it's telling me it's going to update. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to save the information in Git because I want to see what changes comes. So I'm going to accept, and yes, latest. So TypeScript no, MCP no, Prisma ORM yes. So it's going to start install the Prisma ORM section, which I'm going to start configuring and to start using database. So now, as you can see, it's starting to um, installing all dependency needed. And remember, Caspian have the behavior that all npm packages is on development mode, because when you deploy, in this case, maybe in future, when you deploy a Caspian project, there is not needed you have the npm packages in this case, or running the npm packages. Okay, so okay, so as you can see, Caspian have installed. Okay, yes, anyway, we're going to get rid of this, but for now we're going to maintain this because insert of the part, we're going to remove, or I'm going to get him back, and all right, ignore, yes, added. As you can see, in this case, Prisma turns true, and we have the version Prisma config file, and the requirements get updated. In this case, it's at this dependency, very important to know it. The schema, we already have user, things like that, and we have seed, and well, so on. So what I want to do is that I'm going to start working with SQLite, easy as this. So I'm going to come, in this case, in database, backend database. Okay. So in database configuration, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy this, and this section, database, copy paste. And remember, when you are using the good part of Prisma ORM is that if you migrate from SQLite to Postgres, in this case, what you're going to do is that you're going to just modify your connection string, and in this case the schema. In this case, some of the variables aren't support in Postgres ORM. So you're just going to fix those and you good to go. Okay, so in this case, Prisma ORM schema, yeah, already comes with user and things like that. So what I'm going to do is that here in this section, in this case, the configuration, I'm not going to do anything because this already have the database URL, and in just in this the env, I'm going to come update the connection. Then in my Prisma, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say I'm going to use SQLite. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a dummy user in this case. So I'm going to start uncommenting section. Okay. So let's start. Oh, this is for Postgres, this is for SQLite. So what we need is this section. Comment this. Okay, and then Postgres, MySQL. Goodbye. Okay, now option for PostgreSQLite. Good to go. Okay, now I already have my user, and what I'm going to do is that migrate the information from my database. As you can see, we have the seeder, we have the schema already prepared, and we have the end. So now in command, we're going to do that. All right, all the information that you're going to find here, and information step by step. So what I'm going to do is that npx prisma migrate dev, copy, paste. Okay. Now npx. Okay, there is two things what you need to know. I can use this command in this case npx ppy ppy. Okay, so the good part of when you are generating the npx pp or Prisma ORM in this case, we're going to generate our database Python files in the lib directory, in src lib directory. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to run this command, and this is going to generate the TypeScript file which this need to process. So as you can see, there is has no supported member, things like that. We have it's yelling. So I'm going to say, okay, let's run this, and it's going to start working on the database. Okay, so we already have the confirmation, everything's good to go, and we have no issue now. So what we're going to do is that npx Prisma Studio. Okay, so as you can see, there is no user in Prisma Studio. No user, but I'm going to seed a user in this case. So what I'm going to do is that npx Prisma dev Prisma migrate dev. I think I'm forget. Yes, Prisma dev Prisma seed Prisma db seed. I think this is the wrong one. I don't know, but I'm going to try this one. So npx Prisma db seed. So I need to fix the command there in the documentation. Yes, we have seed over our users. So now what I'm going to come is refresh. I have the user, in this case Gmail, one, the encrypted password, role, and the information. So now I have a user. Now what I can do is that I'm going to use this user to get the information when I'm want to sign in. So I'm going to validate this incoming variables. So what I'm going to do, email validated. So it's going to, we're going to call from validate. Let's see. I am not seeing the validate. Validate. Oof. Validate. Okay. There is no auto completion. So from, in this case, we're going to import from Caspian and then validate and validate. So this is string in this case. So now we have validated information. So email and this. So what I'm going to do is that for password, we need to validate with rules. So it's very important that in password we should, let's say, we need four, let's say, four characters length of the password, things like that. So we're going to validate with rules, making the process even more easier. So I'm just going to um, we are in Python, not in JavaScript. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste and explain the rules in this case. So here we go. In this case, as you can see, the rules we want to do is that the password is required, and the rule going to have minimum value of 3 characters in this case, and the rule max is 20, things like that. You going to put in your own needs in this case. So uh, I'm going to import the rules in this case, the same rules, because making things easy. And so now what we're going to do is that if if not email validated and not password, we're going to send email or password invalid. So in this case, when we send this information, now let's start the server, npm opendev. Okay, refresh. Okay, now we have our server running. Let's try to send, and here we have result, status, error message, invalid, and things like that. So what we can do is that maybe in after this information we could put, if there any error, we can notify to the user that there was an error. So let's create a reactive variable. So fonts, in this case, request error, or any variable name you want. So request error. So currently it's going to be null, but any information what's come in this variable, what I want to do is that I want to put here so on. So there is no information, but I think would be good that this have a, let's say, our class where it's going to say when it's how it's going to be printing error. So let's say text red 500. I think that's it. Right. So the response, if the success in this case, because we are sending, as you can see, the status, in this case the status is error. So let's say the status, or we can't send any error message, so we can put that information. So success false. So okay, now let's say if response not success, so we're going to put the response message here. Request, okay, of okay, now we are ready to go. So here we go, invalid email or password. This coming from the database. In this case, as you can see, success is false because I'm sending boolean value from the server. So success false, and the message. Okay, so now what we're going to do is that we're going to find if, let's say, the user, I'm going to remove this and get some space here. So now let's find the user in this case. So we need to import Prisma. Okay, this import is not working. Okay, just let me write Prisma. Let's put async. Oh yeah, let's see. Prisma. No, there is no auto-completion. Completion. Okay, anyway. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that now we're going to see if in the database the user exists. So we're email, and we're going to include the user role in this case. So remember, in our schema we have user and user role, so we're going to include this user role in this case. So in include user role. Okay, so what we're going to do, if print this user, so if exists, it's going to print the user in the terminal. So that is the good part. I think there is an issue. Let's see, what about, because it said IO. Yes, we have an issue in the database. Yes, I think I know where is the issue. Let's go. Okay. No, this is bad. yes, this is need to fix because this is generated file. So what I'm going to do is that just I'm going to validate that this need to fix in this case in the ORM section of Prisma. It's yes. Okay. Well, in this case, we have this error which should be fixed in Prisma ORM section, which when we go and start working with the SQLite section. So you have some issue with this package. So it's not finding the SQL package. Should be installed. Should be installed in this case, but the issue is that the framework should install this, but looks like it's not not installed. So what I'm going to do is that, well, anyway, I'm going to install manually, but I see that some issue there, another issue, because this, how I mentioned that this is generated file, so it need to be fixed in the package. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we have the information, and now let's see, invalid, and send a user, and cannot read the property of null, and let's see what's up. Turn null in terminal, sign in user none. Okay, now we're going to send the user Gmail, and I think it was 4 or 3. Okay, let's see, seed 3, 1, 2, 3. Basic null, and in terminal we have the user information, as you can see here. So the good part is that we have the user information printed in the terminal. As you can see, the print sign in user, the user, it's been found. So now we have the information which we can validate from. So I think it's going to the framework is going to get updates, because as you can see, the generated, in this case, the generated file have some issue, which this package should be installed by default, but it's not happening, so it needs to be fixed. Okay, but it's going to be fixed in the future version, because that is needed. So now let's say if not user, we're going to protect our end. So you say if not user, we're going to send the same message, because it's very important to have that. Don't make the, or don't leak information, because it's good that you mentioned that you don't have the email, because user maybe people who struggling to get in, it's going to know that email exists, but the password is wrong, it's going to force, so on, so on. So prevent that, send the same message. Okay, next we're going to validate if the password is correct. So we're going to use this package. In this case, as you can see, this is work. So sorry if I pronounce, but I can't pronounce that. Work, so something else like that. Okay, so I'm going to use this package in this case to check the password. And so status, in this case, success, false, we have. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put the email correct, but the password I'm going to say to 4, and try to log in. Email, invalid password. But if I put 123, and now I get the information correct. As you can see, I get the user back. Okay, now the good part of that, when user is signed in Caspian, we're going to import the authentication section from the auth, as you can see, because you're going to get this information right from the Caspian package, and you want to put that user data. So you're going to omit passing the password, because remember is that the real user password. So convert the user to dictionary in this case, and you're going to omit the password, and then you get that user data, and now you're going to sign in to the authentication, which is going to store the user information, and then we can use it in our dashboard. So then you're going to pass where you want to redirect if the user logged in and the credentials it's correct. So we're going to redirect to dashboard. Easy as that. We're going to save this, and now what we're going to do is that, let's say I'm going to pass, but I'm going to say that I have number 4 and logged in, invalid email password. I set the correct password and email, logged in, and there we go. So in this case, as you can see, I can't go to the sign in. Nope, because you already have logged in, and there don't make sense. You can't go to the sign in and register again. So by default, the framework, it's already know that you can't go register again and again. So you are being prevented by default in this case by Caspian, because when you do this, Caspian know that user exists, so it's prevent you to go to sign in again. So there is no need to do anything, and the redirect it's automatically done for you. So you just say where you want to go. So so if there are any question, well, any doubts, you can ask and we can discuss and see if you find any solution of it. So in this case, I think we have enough information, and we have found issue in the database section which should be fixed in futures version of the framework. So if there are any question, one, it's going to be required, and the password is required, and then we put the logic in this case, and you can remove all this information because it's just for testing purpose. So then what we do is that when the user is login and the credential it's correct, we're sending the user to dashboard. And in dashboard, we have this index, in this case, index where it's going to be shown the content, and the layout, it's where the files live. So in next chapter, what we're going to do is start using user information to display, in this case, let's say in dashboard. Now currently we don't have any information, and here we have JD, and we can't use the user information to display this information in this case, because what currently we have is that the user logged in correctly, but we don't have any information to display that this dashboard should have the user information in this case. So we don't have any name, things like that. So, but we have almost there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is that let's update and publish. Okay, now what you have, you can come to this route, in this case the Steel Ninja Code Caspian Dashboard. You can clone it and start reviewing if you're interested in Python, because remember, this is section where we are building dashboard. You're going to create your own starter kit, but I'm going from step to step explaining how Caspian works in this case, and the benefits which provide. You just logged in and you start managing, and you get the information. We're going to do that, getting the user information from the session, um, to display the username, things like that, and ID, and get information from the database, things like that. So there is some issue to fix, but we already have all information what we need. So how there is no question, things like that. So we're going to be closing the Hawaiian. So thanks for joining, and happy coding. See you in the next video.